Gentlemen, Miss Heather Bawden. Miss Heather, welcome. Miss, Miss Emily DeCou is here as well for Georgetown East. And also Miss Sabrina Turner, current MP for the District of Prospect, which is the sister community to us here in Red Bay. So, thank you. So if you'd like to have any questions for these ladies while they're here, please reach out to them individually after the meeting, or we'll have a microphone being passed around for everybody to ask their fair share of questions. And then for those who would like, we also have the guys over in the corner playing dominoes and listening at the same time. So keeping a little bit of Cayman-kind in it all the time. All right, so let's just get to it and see how best we can pound this out with the crowd that we have, and with the hopes that others will come along shortly. So Team CCCP was built by persons who stand for things I believe in: community, country, integrity, a belief in making sound decisions which will ensure that there's a better Cayman for future generations. So just a bit about me. I know those of you that are here in the audience know me. Miss Alicia, you will know me from many days going to her restaurant. And then Miss Jackie from the days in the bank when I used to pop in. When I first met her, I thought, oh my goodness, but then I know this lady, I know her. And of course, the McLaughlin family, thank you all so much. And my family and friends, thank you. So just a bit about me. I started working at the age of 12 years old. I fondly tell people, I worked at Pataco's video store. It was the days when computers were just coming in, and the ladies there didn't want too much to do with the computers. So I not only worked in the Georgetown store, I also worked in the West Bay store. So after school, I would leave town, and some evenings they would say, hey, we need you to go out to the West Bay store, and I'd go out there. So I have friends from one end of the Cayman to the next. And after that, I was reminding someone today of my days at Trifles. They were reminding me of the bubblegum ice cream that they so fondly remembered and loved, and we have not seen in Cayman since then. Yeah, the chili. Clyde and Kathy did an amazing job. From there, I went to the education department, where I spent quite a few years. Actually, between that, I was in veterinary for about 10 years. So a lot of people will know me from my years grooming their pets for their parents, their grandparents, in their houses, at the veterinary clinic, and just, having been able to give sound advice if someone needed some free advice as to how to care for their pets. And to this day, I am still a very strong advocate for animal care. And me and all of my family, we're all animal lovers, and that's one of those things we hope to bring to the forefront of our system, if I'm hoping that I'm voted in, for all of those out there who are wondering what is going to happen when it comes to animals, who will be looking after that. I will be the person to advocate for that strongly. I can guarantee you that. My parents, Melrose and Tommy Whitelocke. My mom, I keep saying it, my mom, she's the backbone of the licensing department. Everybody's known her for the last 45 years of my life, and she continues to work there. And she works in every single store, West Bay, Georgetown, Breakers. Everybody loves Miss Melrose. And then my dad, everybody will know from his days at the port, and also his days when he worked at the gas station. I think it was Buzzer's gas station at the top of by Dog City. Yeah, he worked there as well for many years. So those are my parents, who I love very much, and I can't say enough good things about them, and they continue to support me and everything that I do in my life. So beyond that, I have 4 amazing children who also support me in all of this. One is our videographer today, and the other boys are over here. And I have 2 lovely grandsons, one whose birthday is coming up, his first birthday in a few days. And I'm really excited about that, and hope I can have some cake and ice cream. And, raising my kids here in Cayman, it wasn't easy as a single parent. There were days when we only had $10 a night to eat on. I remember those days fondly. We'd made it work. We really, really made it work. And we've come a far way, but now my children are in those situations, and no matter which day it is, which year it is, $1 is $1. And, you know, we just have to make sure we do the best we can for our kids and for those coming behind to ensure that they have the best future possible. So many people are asking me why run in this election. And so my answer to that is there are issues, many issues in our country, in our communities that have gone or remain unaddressed, unchanged, and ignored. To name a few of those issues, for us here in the districts of Red Bay and Prospect, flooding is still a huge issue. We know that a few drains were put in, quite a few drains were put in throughout the districts over the last couple of months, but flooding still remains an issue. I met a lady the other night and she said, Natasha, I had the water come up to my front door. I had to do something. So, you know, we need to address these issues and get them taken care of. Our roads, I come out several times a week and I drive through the entire district of Red Bay. And the roads, we do have some that are in good order, but for the most part, our roads are in a sad state of disrepair. At the end of this road here in Prospect Drive, if you go all the way down and around the corner, the Water Authority is doing some works, yes, but at the end of the day, will those roads be fixed? Will they be maintained and put back to good order for the people of this district? So to touch on a more topical subject for all of us, education. Ladies and gentlemen, there's poor quality of education in our schools for our children, which continue to result in our graduates not being able to read and write at a graduate level. And one of the resulting effects is that they are deemed unemployable by employers who refuse to take a chance on them or upskill them. We need to get back to the basics and ensure our children receive the education that they deserve. Our people are living from paycheck to paycheck, while others are able to come to our country and succeed. They're in our country for 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, and they can walk into the bank and be handed the keys to a condo, to a home that is in the price bracket that our children should be buying. Years ago, you could have bought an apartment for $80,000 in Cayman. An apartment now is starting easily at $400,000. How is our young Caymanians making $3,500 a month or less supposed to afford that? If you think about it, the banks are still mandating that you have 40% of your salary going to your bills. So how are our children going to afford a mortgage for a $4,000 house? It's not going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Cayman is the banking capital of the world, and our own people are being turned away by these banks. Our children can no longer afford a land or a home. Mortgages and rent continue to be out of their reach. Insurance costs continue to rise. There's no comprehensive senior care program. What are our seniors supposed to do when they reach the age of 65? What are they going to do? Depend on Cineco? Depend on NAU? These are our proud Caymanians who have lived their entire lives doing everything that was needed and demanded of them, whether it was by an employer or by the government or anyone else. They're proud and they should be able to age with dignity. We need to get it together, folks, but not with the representation that we have had for the last several cycles of years. We need to get it together. So traffic continues to be an issue for the entire eastern end of the country, including for us here in Red Bay and Prospect. 4 years ago, it was said that feeder roads would be put through from Prospect down to Tropical Gardens. This has not happened. Instead, the country has been left with more traffic than we saw 4 years ago, and it continues to grow. New roads are put in, and promptly, large parcels of land are transformed into large apartment complexes on the lower end of this road. And what does that mean for all of us? It still means that another 300 to 600 cars are added at the end, which means that us at the top are still in the backlog. How senseless is this, ladies and gentlemen? We need a development plan. We cannot continue to allow building with no thought process for traffic. We need to get it right. This election season, ladies and gentlemen, we the people need to get it right. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, Should I be elected, along with my colleagues in Team TCCP, we will revamp the government education system of these islands. We will ensure that preschools have the right amount of qualified teachers. I'm hearing talk of our children being talked down to and belittled in schools by teachers. I can tell you, us adults in a workplace, we don't condone that. We won't stand up for it. We stand up and we talk for ourselves. We quit, we move on. But our children, their minds are still developing. Our children should not be subjected to this kind of behavior. And I can tell you, under my watch, there will be change. Parents, it's coming. Our children in our schools must not become a statistic. They are our children, and we must ensure that they are brought up in the best manner possible. A review of NAVU funding and other funding to parents for preschool care, to ensure that those who really need it, get it. We have parents out there who are struggling, single parents who are struggling with their little ones. Preschools raise the fees, government only gives a certain amount, and then where does the parent get the money from? Where does it come from? So we need a revamp of that. NAU is probably paying money out to persons who don't really need it. Is there a proper system in place that gauges who needs it from who don't? Is there someone to come out and check on everyone to say, yes, you really continue to still need this program? We have people who need medications. Medications, the costs are going through the roof. This is something that's near and dear to me, and I won't go into it right now, ladies and gentlemen. But when you have someone in your household who needs medication 24/7 and they cannot get it, where else are they going to turn? Those are the types of people that really need NAU, not persons who are able to be paid to live in Margaritaville, but yet we know that they have a job around the corner. It's our Caymanians, our young Caymanians that need it, and our seniors and our single parents that need this assistance. We need a review and stricter measures to be put in place for our immigration laws. Finding ways to close the loopholes, which remain one of the reasons why jobs which should be earmarked for our Caymanians remain filled for far too long. Employers continue to move the goalposts and find ways to circumvent the system that is in place. Fairness and transparency is required, and under my watch and under the watch of the TCCP, it will not happen. These loopholes will be closed. National issues will be dealt with. We have to ensure that that our decisions echo the voice of the people, and that any decisions that are made are sustainable. They must be backed with sound expert advice. That our people are educated on the issues so that they can make informed decisions, ladies and gentlemen. I know a lot of people right now are asking about the port, they're asking about mangroves, they're asking about, clearing these large tracts of land. What happens when a hurricane comes, ladies and gentlemen? During Ivan's, those same mangroves protected us. And we can't sit by and allow our livelihood, our wetlands, we can't allow these things to be destroyed. We have to stand up. We cannot continue to guarantee our vote to persons who continue to not be fazed by the everyday struggles our people continue to experience. We need to take a stand. We need to say, enough is enough. We cannot continue to guarantee seats in the House of Parliament and pensions for people who we only see from time to time, specifically every 4 years, and at Christmas maybe. Leaders are voted to enact change. For far too long, we've placed our trust, evidenced by our votes, and have ended up where we are due to displaced trust for far too long. On the 30th of April, ladies and gentlemen, please vote for change. Vote for the TCCP team and me, Melrose Natasha Whitelocke. People of Red Bay, if elected, I plan to wholeheartedly be that leader for each of you. I am a woman of my word. I'm a woman of action, and I will stand tall for each of you. Thank you. I am Melrose Natasha Whitelocke, and I'm asking to be your choice for Red Bay. Ladies and gentlemen, in closing, please follow us, Team TCCP, on our Facebook and Instagram pages. We are at votetccp.ky. Thank you. I'll now open the floor for any questions, if anybody has anything. to add?
I don't even know. Putting it together right here. But evening, Natasha.
Evening, how are you?
We spoke today. So based on what we were speaking about today in terms of like setting up certain like individual meetings where you have a bunch of people in an area that would like to sit down like this but don't have the time. I'm wondering now, thinking about it, because I was thinking about it earlier after I spoke to you. In terms of the voting, there's a lot of people in the area that I live in that I don't know if they're eligible to vote. So I don't know what is how the voting process works in terms of like if you're a person that's just on the island working here, if you're eligible to vote or whatever. So I was kind of concerned about setting up that meeting because there's people in that area that I don't know if it would make sense to set up that meeting, but it would have been like a opportunity for you to share your speech and stuff. But what is like, if you can answer,
Sure.
what is that
Sure.
process like?
So thank you for the question. So persons that are on island on a work permit are not allowed to vote. You have to be a Caymanian to vote and a registered voter, first and foremost. However, I appreciate that there would be some persons on island who would want to hear about the process and they want to be involved. You know, they want to start building that relationship with us and get to know our heritage and our culture. So some of these persons may be interested in coming out to such a meeting. So, you know, I would be happy to host such a meeting. I think we discussed this today as well. If there's someone in your area that has a garden that they wouldn't mind having a few people, we can come together, we can bring some food, some sandwiches, drinks, etc., and just get together with everybody and have a close, intimate conversation.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Good evening, all.
Good evening, Mr. Mark.
I mentioned to some of the MPs some time ago about a park and ride bus system. Whereas if I want to go to Georgetown, which there is no parking, right? I could drive my car to somewhere, park it, wait for a bus in an ideal condition, place, go into town, do what I have to do, and come back. Is that something that the TCCP might be looking at?
Yeah. I can confirm that that is being considered, sir. It is being considered. We have to do everything that we.
Make it possible for people to get into town.
Yes.
Yes. No parking left there.
Yeah, there is none.
Yeah.
Yes, I. I went into town on, I think it was Monday, and I circled for about 15-20 minutes trying to find a parking space just to go to the House of Parliament. And I ended up parking on the side of the road. Yeah. So I'm with you on that. I worked in town for 20 years or more, starting with the Tower Building and then of course the two law firms. And luckily for us, we had parking spaces. But if someone was coming in town to visit me, it was very, very difficult. Very difficult. And it remains to be, and it's even worse with all of the traffic, you know. And, that's another one of those things that not only with the transport that needs to be addressed, but we also need to address the amount of cars on this island. The people that can come here and immediately get a driver's license. Some of these people, welcome to our island, but have you ever driven a car before? Most of these people are taking trains where they're going, etc., and then we just let them loose on our roads, which of course we can see this coupled with a few other things are resulting in accidents and bad behavior on our roads.
The second thing I am concerned about is more of a national issue, which is actually the debt of the country. I'm not sure how the TCCP will try and get that debt under control, but I know that government, all over the world, if they collect $100, they spend 110. And how can we bring that spending under control and to put money in some kind of a sovereign wealth fund or something?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. What I will say is where Team TCCP is concerned, there's more to come.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else? Yeah. Do you have any questions? Amanda?
Let's see if I have a question. Let's see.
My daughter's a difficult one. You guys think I'm serious? Check her out.
All right. Not as her daughter tonight or now, but as a registered Red Bay voter. So I have 2 kids, 1 bonus. And the other day I was trying to register my son for high school, and I couldn't get him in when I wanted to get him in because they told me they were full. So we had to wait, I think it was a year and a half, until they got space. What is the incoming government, or what is TCCP's position on those type of instances for our Caymanian children?
Like I said, there's more to come. Can't give away too much. As you know, our manifesto hasn't been released yet, so I don't want to give away too much of what will be in there. We've had these discussions, but I don't believe that any of our children should be turned away from government school. I know your situation personally, so I don't want to feel as I'm being biased or give an answer that would come across as being biased, but since you said that you're not my daughter in this instance in time, I'm going to answer you. And I'm going to say, we have to ensure that each and every child in this country is given an education from the ground up. No age should be skipped. The monies should be there to enable a parent to send a child to school. Many years ago, the government removed the $50 fee. If you all remember that, there was a fee payable by parents for their kids to go to school per year. That was removed. So beyond that, there should be no obstacle to our children being allowed into a school, into a government school. To the best of my knowledge, some of the private schools do receive a stipend from the government, and I feel like they should also be, contributing to this. If for some reason there's a space that your child can't fill in a government school, there's no reason why the private schools can't pick up that slack. There's many more things that I could go into regarding the schools. There's money been taken away for various programs, the sailing program, like I said earlier, the programs for young parents with children in the preschool. There was a couple more things that were brought to my attention today that's missing from the schools. A young man also told me about a program he was running in the schools, teaching some of the kids how to farm. That's been taken away. Some of these things are the livelihood of our nation. And even more so, looking at international news, what's happening around us. We have to ensure that there's food sustainability for our people. Farming is important. Ensuring that our farmlands are protected is important, because we, the people of Cayman, will need those farmlands very, very soon. If you're looking at all of the news stations in the US right now, you all will know what's happening. Tariffs are coming. They're everywhere. All right? So we need to ensure that our young people and our kids have what they need to be able to build on what they have, which is the land that we've been able to afford them.
Do we know how much land, have we ever done an audit on the amount of land that we have that is suitable for farming?
I am not sure about that, but I can
And
certainly
if,
find
and
out.
if, and if we could, kind of fence that out and prevent building in Lower Valley and all that.
Okay, Ms. Heather is saying there's a lot of land in Lower Valley earmarked for farming. Yep.
Because developers like to build on good land. you
They
know,
do.
And then,
They do. They do. Yes. Yeah. So, I think there's some laws in place, there's some policies in place for some areas to only be used for farming, etc. So I think that will help protect some of our lands from being overbuilt as well, overdeveloped.
I have another question for you. As a voter of Red Bee, as a mother, we're seeing where, without me saying too much, but we know that it's an issue nationwide. We know that it's an issue around the Caribbean, and I guess I want to say in the U.S. as well, because they have put things in place for unpaid child support fees. Do you personally have an opinion on this?
I have a huge opinion on this, and you know this. Ladies and gentlemen, the child support issue for me is not only personal, it's something in our country that needs to be sorted out. It really does. In America, if you don't pay your child support, you lose your bank account because it's frozen. You lose the ability to travel. You lose your driver's license. The government knows when you come in and out of that country, you're allowed a one-way ticket in, and you cannot come back out until your child support fees are up to date. A lot of mothers and fathers, because like I said in my last speech, there are fathers too that are left with their children and the mothers walk away. So it goes both ways. I'm not being biased. But there's a lot of parents who are out there, they're working 1, 2, 3, 4 jobs. Children are being left alone. And when they're left alone, they get into mischief. There's no reason why that parents should be able to just walk away from a child. Those children are our responsibility. They didn't ask to be brought here. And we need to do better as a country. We need to do better as parents to ensure that our children are brought up in the right way, that they are maintained. We maintain our hair, we maintain our nails. We go partying, we buy the best cars, we make sure that we travel regularly. But does those things feed our children? I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, for many years I made sure I did without to ensure that my children had. If I had $1 in my pocket and my children needed to go to school as a single parent, my children got that dollar. I went without because they did not ask to be here. And yes, I do believe that there is more that can be done, whether it be through policies, whether it be at a legal level that more is put into place. Yes, there's a lot to be done. And that's another one of those things that I will strongly advocate for. Anything else? I like these questions. Can we keep them coming? She's coming. She has a lot to say, you know.
All right. Mama Charlie just ain't gonna get beat tonight. She gotta catch me first. In terms of crime, we have seen so much change in the Red Bay constituency and the Prospect constituency. In terms of crime, there has been an increase, an uptick in that. I know for a fact that the neighborhood patrols have either decreased or they've stopped. Would you say that we are likely to see those come back in the near future? Will we see an increase in them? And do you think that once they come back, we'll kind of see crime go back down? What are your opinions on that?
My opinions in that is that you're, one, very right, and two, more needs to be done throughout the islands, period, to ensure that there's more of a police presence. I think today I was on the road and I saw one police car that passed me on the opposite side of the bypass going down. I can remember back in the day, every fifth car was a police car. Everybody knew the police officers. So you could easily pick up the phone and say, hey, this has happened, that has happened. There was a beat officer in our area many years ago in the Red Bay area. And I agree with Denelia, that presence has declined. I have not seen that around. And this particular list, I was going around with a pamphlet today that had in a few things, which I was limited to 6. But if you do see my wider pamphlet with more stuff that I want to work on, making sure that there's more police presence and that there's security cameras, etc., put into our neighborhoods to ensure that, you know, there's the police can see it, 911 can see it. If something happens, they can record it. It is recorded and it can be played back so that persons are brought to court and justice is served for those that have been wronged. You'll see that all of these things are in my list of things that I want for this community, among many others.
Okay, this question is on behalf of a very shy person who's hiding behind the trees. So, this gentleman asked, what is going to be done in terms of, or how do you feel, not from your party's perspective, but you as an individual? I know earlier you touched on the driver's license and having too much cars and stuff, but he is asking specifically about expatriates who come to the island. If we should continue to allow them to get licenses when they come to the island, and for those that already have licenses, can something be done that when they expire, they don't get another one? And if they do need a license, let's say for instance your gardener or whatever, they have to get a specific waiver. Like, is there, like, in your mind, like, have the wheels been turning on this topic?
Yes, I can say my own thought process has been turning on this. And I touched on it a little bit earlier, like you said, persons come into the island and within a few months they have a driver's license. They've never been behind a car wheel before, ever. I feel that there must be a way that licensing department should be able to look back, probably have some sort of a tie-in with immigration to say, how long has this person been on island? Look at their work permit, their term limits, and say, okay, we need you to be on this island for, say, 3 years or 5 years before you can actually have a driver's license. But in order for something like that to work, we have to make sure that our public transport system is working perfectly so that these persons can still get to work. I know a lot of parents have nannies that need to get around. And so therefore what they do is they tend to buy that extra car for the nanny. And then the nanny has the car, they're doing their business for the parents, and then they're also doing their own personal business. But if it comes down to it that someone like that and persons who, like you said, are in an industry and they have to drive a vehicle, there should be no reasons why they couldn't get a special license just for that reason. But there'll have to be a lot of enforcement around that, a lot of rules and regulations built around that to ensure that it's policed correctly. Did I answer that? She's thinking.
No, I was asked to ask you another question, but I'm just thinking of how to formulate it properly. So in the meantime, you can blab away about maybe traffic. I know that this is very near and dear to Red Bear's hearts.
Yes.
And to a lot of people in Prospect as well, especially now that the road on Spots has been closed off.
Yes.
So, that's, maybe we can touch on traffic. I know Mr. Mark here touched on our park and ride system.
Yes.
What do you think about, school buses for the private schools? And, what I'm seeing too is a lot of, even public school parents are opting to drop their kids to school in the morning, even though there's a public bus. So can we speak about that? How do you feel about that?
For those parents who are watching, there's nothing wrong with your child riding the school bus. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing degrading about it. All we're simply doing is finding a way for all of our other persons on this island to get where they're going faster. And, you know, it will help your child to learn to be a bit more independent, to make sure that they get up early in the morning, that they are getting out to the bus stops, and that they're getting to school. I'll tell you a little story. One of my sons, and I won't say which one day they came home. I was getting ready, and you know the children should have been gone, but I heard this little shuffle in the house. And so when I went out there was my child. And I said, well, what happened? Oh, Mom, I missed the bus. And I said, well, guess what? There's a late bus. So you're going to be late for school. You might get a detention, but you're going to school. And I am not going down South Sound Road to take you to school. And so I went out to the road, made sure they got across the street, and they caught the late bus into school. I have tons of stories I could tell about my kids, but I'll just leave that one right there. But no, I do believe that parents should be allowing their children to ride the school bus. It's a good experience for them, and like I said, it teaches them to be independent, and it teaches them to be able to get up on time in the morning and get out there, get dressed, be ready in advance, get their stuff together the night before, you know, and just get out there. You'll not only see the benefits of this in, you know, what they do in their daily lives, but you'll see it in their schoolwork, because they'll know that there's rules and boundaries that can't be broken, and they will stick to them. And so yes, I fully support that. They still have a late bus? Yeah, there's still a late bus. Yep.
I had an immigration question again from someone who would like to remain in the bushes. In terms of immigration, and you know, we see a lot of people come here on a janitor work permit, and you know, they have a tiff with the boss, and then they switch and they go on chef, and then they switch from chef and they go on accountant. What do you think should be done about these instances? And you know, we saw recently where some term limits were moved. I think they were extended. Can we speak about that as well? And just how that is affecting Caymanians and putting us at a disadvantage? Because, you know, once these, let's call them immigrants or expats, once they've reached a certain point, I think it's like 9 years or 7 years, then they're now eligible to go for PR, and then you know, the whole PR system kicks in, where they have to get a home and to get these points, or go walking dogs and stuff. Can we talk about that?
What I will say is, the PR system in our country is too easy. Much too easy. There needs to be stronger rules and regulations surrounding that to ensure the protection of, again, our children and future generations, to ensure that you know, that the proper people that should have PR receive PR. One thing I will say, you know, to the credit of the immigration department, and this is from my own knowledge and you know, experience, they've gotten really, really good at clamping down on people who make that flip-flop. They've been very good at going back and looking at resumes and saying, hey, you gave me a resume for a chef last week, and this week you're now saying that you're a car washer, and they will refuse that work permit. They've gotten really, really good at it, and I must commend them for that. One more.
One more. When I heard that, Oxdale.
I know who that is.
That's her pet name by a certain person in the bushes.
Ladies and gentlemen, while she's getting that question, and it's probably about the gravy to go with the oxtail or the white rice, maybe, or rice and beans. Again, I want to thank you all so much for coming out and supporting me. Pretty much all of you I've seen at our TCCP meetings. Thank you for supporting Team TCCP. I can assure you the team is a phenomenal team. We have the best interest of the Caymanian people at heart. And you know, if voted in, I can assure you we're going to do everything in our power to ensure that the load for our Caymanian people is lightened and that there is fairness and transparency in everything that we do. And you know, we're, as we said, we're a green group, and we really look forward to working with the community as a whole to ensure that, you know, our lands and our homes and everything about Cayman, our culture, our way of life is preserved for the Caymanian people.
I heard him laughing when I said Oxdale. So that is my nickname, and only one person in Cayman calls me that. And when I hear that name, no matter where he is, I know who that is. And that's because that's all I ever asked him to make for me when I was a little girl. That's my dad. He's one of my dad's closest friends. And yeah, so my name is Danelia. I say my name is Oxdale. Another question from somebody who don't want the limelight. Public bus systems. At the moment, we see that the public bus system seems to be a private system. I personally have my own reservations about it, and I've been very vocal on my social media. And I think that it should be operated by the government. Yesterday, I was in traffic with a public bus, and I was bad driven, number one. He couldn't take the traffic on the road, so he bus and he fling it around in the middle of the road and went up the bypass. By the time I could reach what we know as Amelia's, I can see him passing Mango Tree, so that means he took the bypass and went all the way around. So, you know, these guys aren't completing their routes, and I don't know if they have specific people on these routes that they call and say, hey, you there? You're not there? Okay, because if you're not there, then I go in somebody else. Yeah. What do you think about our public system, our public bus system? Because this is very serious now. You know, we're trying to talk to people about the traffic. We're saying, you know, we got too much cars and stuff, but people are saying, oh, you need to fix the public bus system. Right. So how do you feel about this? And as our MP for Red Bay, can you talk to us and tell us? Because, I mean, that is a vital route.
So I've experienced this firsthand. And some of you know, I spent quite a bit of time in East End. And there were days when I would go there and I would end up picking someone up along the road. I have been dropped off halfway. You know, I've been had to call ahead and say, hey, I'm coming up to East End, but guess what? I don't know if I can make it. And that is because the drivers of these private buses they do not finish their routes. They do not go all the way up and come all the way around. People that need to go to north side are left on the side of the road. Once I remember, I think there was a lady who was pregnant, heavily pregnant, and she was left on the side of the road by the bus driver because he said, I ain't going no further. Now, it's kind of twofold for me because we have to look at the taxi system as well. All right. Number one, our buses, most of those tour buses, most of the public buses are driven by persons who are either on work permits and brought in by other people, or they are from other countries and, you know, they are married to Caymanians or find some other means of driving that bus. So I feel, and not TCCP, so I fully take credit or not credit, or I'll take the beating for this if anybody wants to, but we here in Cayman are subjected to a lot of behaviors that are imported into our island. And we need to stop being so accepting of that. The other day I was in the roundabout by going across the Jose's, twice actually, twice. And there was a bus that came around me and shoved me into the middle of the roundabout. I was driving my friend's car and I had no choice but to stop. These are the sorts of things that are happening out there on our roads. And yes, I do believe that it should be taken over by the government. I understand that some people out there still want to, make a living off of their bus, but if they didn't allow it to come to this, we wouldn't be having this conversation. If they kept trackers on their buses, I dare say trackers, and I'll morph off a little into the garbage trucks, because I can't tell you how many times I've almost been killed by a garbage truck, a driver zigzagging across the road. All of these vehicles that are on our roads, for one reason or the other, public buses, garbage trucks, dump trucks, and we can go down the list. We need to be able, the government needs to mandate something that says trackers need to be placed on them to manage road behaviors by these persons, to ensure that their routes are being followed. So yes, I would support that. I would support it being taken over by government.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, ladies and gentlemen? I know I said one more, and I think we went like 4 over the one more, but
We've got some nibbles and refreshments at the back. There are folk there to serve you, and we've also got some shirts, some bags. No, I can't tell you if you got oxtail, but
yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you all so much for coming out. And again, for those that are within earshot of my voice, I'm sorry we didn't get to see each and every one of you tonight. I realize there's a lot going on the island this evening, a lot of really good activities, and I hope you've been able to go out and partake of those with your family. But please, this video will be placed on our web pages. Please follow us, please like us, share us with your friends. If there's anyone that would like the TCCB team or specifically myself to come around and have a gathering at their houses with a few of their friends, etc., please reach out to us. We do have, again, our social media pages, and you can contact us via our website on votetccp.ky. We're open, we're transparent, we're here to serve you, the people, to listen to you, to understand your concerns and your needs. And we are very much looking forward to be your servant leaders come April 30th. Thank you.